Trying to come out. Done something. There we go.
Yep.
Okay, Chief, ready? Would you lead us, please?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Chief. This is Mayor Springer. It is Wednesday, May 21st, 7 o'clock. I call the council meeting to order. Clerk Barr, how many citizens are joining us online tonight?
We have 7 online participants.
Okay, and other guests who are joining us.
Yes, we have City Attorney Chris Coker online. In the room, we have Commander Timmons of the Aberdeen Police Department.
Clerk Barr, will you please do roll call?
Yes, Councilmember Skinner,
Here.
Councilmember Wynn,
Here.
Councilmember Spargo,
Councilmember Spargo reached out to me and Councilperson Darcy to be excused tonight.
okay, Councilmember Collette,
Here.
Councilmember Darcy. Here. We have 1 absence.
Is there a motion to excuse Councilman Spargo tonight?
So moved. I second. Colette.
Okay.
Dinner.
Okay. Moving on to approval of agenda, is there a motion to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Council Darcy,
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none. Moved. Consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Is there
Councilman Colette.
Council Darcy seconds.
any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
Hey, fine.
Any opposed? Hearing none, so moved. Council comment, council members, are there any comments at this time?
I'll just make some brief comments, about the legislation we discussed, the ordinance updates we discussed at the last meeting. I don't have any, anything on the agenda for tonight. I'm still working on those. One of those related to height restrictions on fences. I haven't received a lot of feedback from other folks on that one. I did just have a really brief exchange with our building official about that, but I did catch several things in there that seemed problematic to me. So I'm just taking another run at that. I'm gonna be looking at some examples from other cities before I put forward a new draft of that one. I haven't received a whole lot of feedback on the proposal to kick it over to the planning committee to draft tree plan guidelines, but I intend to share more about that next time, along with some examples of what other cities are doing on those. And then I do plan to also try to draft something or find some examples of what other cities are doing that we might copy for food truck permitting. So I'll have hopefully updates on those items next time. Thank you.
Any other council comments this evening? Okay, hearing none, we're going to move on to committee reports, auditing committee.
Looking down the, oh, did you get a chance?
I did look at the
Oh,
documents,
thank you.
yeah, yesterday I did, I looked over the big stack of them, and I did ask questions, but they all got answered, and, that,
My gosh, I think I did. go through.
You did.
You did.
Oh,
Yes, and you did. You were and you went through them. Parks Committee,
We have no meeting, no report.
okay. Public Safety Committee,
We haven't held a meeting.
Yeah, we haven't held a meeting since before our last council meeting.
okay,
We'll have to do that.
okay,
Yep.
Public Works.
Yeah, we did have a meeting and we have job applicants posted, for the applications. You could probably answer more on that, how many we got and everything. We have lost, yeah, Tom is our senior, he will be resigned or hiring. End of June, we got the July, appears there's fire flow records, hydrant flushing, and, there's projects that are coming up, float system, replace the diaphragm and the big pump house. We looked at, we're looking at trail cams for the upper bathroom. And then our backhoe and sweeper are being worked on, with the college, so that helps save us a lot of money there. So they're working on those as needed, so on any other tools, they seem to be, working on that and also helping, they did a lot of work, we had cleanup at Mill Creek Park. They came and they did a lot, just took some trees down, some, trail cleaning and stuff like that, so. Yeah, so just getting a little other summer projects and, yeah, that's how they, yeah.
Okay, and I'll add on to
Yeah.
Councilperson Darcy. We had, I think it was 11 applicants. We narrowed them down to 5. We will be conducting interviews tomorrow at 1:00. And on the committee this time, we do have the chief is sitting in on it. Our next lead person, Donnie Fowler of Public Works, myself and Carrie will be sitting in on it at this time. I want to thank the other council members who have sat on interviews prior to that. Let's see, and talking about Grace Harbor College, gosh, they've been amazing partners in a number of things that are happening here in the city, with a very, very, very tight budget. When we put machinery out to have work done, it's in the thousands, even it seems like for the most minor repair. We finally did get the street sweeper out that had been in at the college for a few months, but at a very minimal cost. It's $35 to be part of that program. You just can't be in a rush, and they only charge for parts, and it's at their cost. So it's backed. I think we're probably looking at $300-400 for the repair of that. So it's phenomenal. We probably saved about $3,000. The next thing, what Council Member Darcy, what the backhoe is the next big project?
Yeah, I think that's what, we were told, I think Tom said that, yeah, the backhoe was gonna be the next thing that the college was gonna make some repairs on.
And that we did get a price from Papic, and can you recall what that price
Correct,
was?
their first price was over $9,000, and I asked them, pretty please, can we get a reduction in that? And they reduced it down to $8,000. Still a lot of money, it's the brakes on the backhoe that need repairing.
It's through the automated technology.
Yes, and diesel program.
Decent.
So that will be going in now, and so I did have a concern about the brakes. I've talked to both our Public Works. They said, they talked about what they're doing for safety precautions when they have it out. There's certain things that you probably, that these, stabilizer that they put down, putting the brake, that they don't feel it's a safety issue. They're not using it on any hills or anything. It's only on flat ground. And they feel like, we're pretty good until it gets in the shop and, very well what they should be doing to make sure that safety always comes first. And so, because I said, does it need to be parked in? And so we went through all of that. But that was kind of it. So kudos to the college. I mean, they've been great. City official reports. Clerk Barr.
Yes, well, we've settled into the new building. I think we're getting a routine down. I think citizens are understanding to come into the door and come to the window. So I think that's working out well. Also, during our last state financial accountability audit, I provided information to the state that in part resulted in a finding with regards to the internal controls over a utility billing. One issue was an account that did not include billing for sewer services over several years. However, new information has been brought to the city with regards to that customer. There was a secondary dormant account where the customer was in fact billed for sewer services and those services were paid. The state auditor has been notified of the new information, and so I'd like to read to you their response. Thank you for reaching out to our office with new information regarding the finding that was issued in the city's 2022-2023 financial accountability audits. Where our office issues a finding, it is standard procedure to follow up and discuss the status of the finding and its recommendations in the next audit. We will request a response from the city to share any relevant updates or information since the finding was issued. This response will be reviewed by our office and included in our next audit report. Please keep in mind, part of our follow-up procedure is to verify and confirm any updates shared by the city.
Chief Lehman.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. In addition to my written report, I would just draw more emphasis to my thankfulness for the Cosmos Volunteer Fire Department for helping us move. One person in particular did a tremendous amount, which was firefighter Phil. There was more than him that helped, but Phil especially. Also Clerk Groves, husband Jeremy. I can't even begin to emphasize enough how much of a help he was from construction of things. I'm pretty sure he was volunteered to do things much more than volunteered, but he worked out between him and Casey. And also publicly, I would like to thank Home Depot. We were in need of a fridge and a freezer for our evidence room for storage of sensitive evidence items. Didn't have anything in the budget to make that purchase. A simple letter of explaining a need and the request, and they met it immediately. So we now have that in our nice new evidence room. So again, just in addition to what I've already submitted, I just wanted to try and assist for those things and thank the community for their support.
Thank you. Commander Timmons.
So the Aberdeen Police Department, we responded since the last council meeting to 6 calls in Cosby. So far this year, we're 59 calls, 179 calls since we started the agreement in May of last year. Those calls range from welfare checks, suspicious circumstances, vehicle prowls. In one second. Yeah, so things are still going good, but working with Chief Lehman and we will do it all.
Thank you. We appreciate your support and help. We have our Chief Valley is off on leave and
Not fire chief, it's Coker that's in charge is unfortunately on an emergency call for service and I just checked on it when I dropped my phone so loudly, sorry about that, but yeah, they're still on the call for service.
okay, so we can go back to him, building official. Bill Sedor, your report this evening.
Building permits have kind of slowed down a little bit. You still have a few trickling in here. An invoice has been sent to the school for their seismic upgrade, so that'll be a nice shot in the arm of $51,000 to the city. Currently, I'm working on 12 code compliance or code enforcement issues. So aside from that, I think that's about it, other than the annexation that you guys voted on last month. A kind of glitch has come in, so a misunderstanding is not on the docket for tonight between myself and Clerk Barr. We're not sure exactly who made the mistake or what exactly what happened there. But I was informed that because the house in the front where they want to annex into the city of Cosmopolis is hooked up to the city of Aberdeen utilities, that there may be an issue and Aberdeen may fight the annexation. So there's a possibility, and then also the people that are requesting the annexation aren't here tonight, so I'm not sure exactly what happened. So that issue is gonna be tabled till next month or whenever we can figure out what's going on.
Sounds like it needs to be Aberdeen instead.
Yeah.
That's what that feels.
Okay, on to my report. Mayor Springer, it's been a busy 2 months for all of us. I also want to thank the volunteers that helped us move. They were amazing. They got everything moved and helped us get set up. We managed to stay in that building through construction, artificial walls, hammering, plaster falling on us, rain, and no heat. But we are now in a new building. It was, I think it was the best move for us not to try to move a few times. It was cost saving and everybody was very patient during that time. With that said, we also, I want to thank Five Star Damon over there at Five Star. He's been amazing, for, and so we had a volunteer, a police officer, that had a lift truck that allowed us to use his boom truck to come in. He was a reserve officer. He's no longer with Cosmopolis, and he's very busy with his business, and so it's been difficult trying to find a lift truck. We reached out to Five Star and Damon, and he said it is available whenever we need it, and he's been very, very good working with us. That's why our flags are going up today, the banners are going up today. So we appreciate that. The other thing, we did not, and we are not buying anything new for this building, nothing. And so with that said, I wanted to make sure staff had furniture. And so it's been challenging because I no longer am working at that big table in in our building that we had. I had a folding table that my husband brought home for me, so I appreciated that. But Damon, when I reached out to Five Star and Damon, he said, whatever Cosmopolis needs, come on and get it. So we were able to fully staff my office, the lobby. I think both the police and fire department took advantage of a few pieces of that furniture. So if you know Damon, you're over at Five Star, say thank you. It's very much appreciated. Moving on, we had Earth Day on I think it was the 22nd, 23rd, and now we worked in Mill Creek Park. It was huge. Again, the college forestry program really stepped up. They had a number of volunteers, the Grays Harbor Noxious Weed. We had Councilman Wynn, he was one of the volunteers up there too. We had 30 community volunteers who worked diligently all day. Public Works were we were able to clear 2 dump truck loads of debris and things that needed to come off. Thank you to a company here in Grays Harbor helping support Cosmopolis. One of the things, there's a lot of events happening on the back table. This will also be on our Facebook page and on our website. It is events happening in the city of Cosmopolis coming up in June, July, and August. And there's a lot going on. In this calendar, you'll find the council meetings and the board meetings. The planning commission is back on track and will be meeting the first Monday of every month, and those dates are in now. The city wide garage sale that's been going on as long as I can remember. I remember we've been here 21, 22 years, and I remember that. I'm driving around and just looking at all the interesting items for sale. And so citizens are actively putting that together, and it's kind of a fun thing for the community to do. So the other thing, LeMay, when I reached out to him about the dump trucks, he asked me if we needed vouchers for cleanup. And I said, well, the city does not have a budget for that. We cannot afford that. And he said that they will sponsor $1,500 in vouchers for the city of Cosmopolis. And so the looks like this, you won't be using your water card, you name and all that information, is that correct, will be
Mhm.
added. It's one per family. It's kind of first come, first serve. I think we figured out there is what, 100, and then there's additional costs, it's up to 200 pounds. If you go over that, you get a $14.30 credit. Anything over that, you are responsible for paying. A lot of citizens have been calling about this, so we're excited to have it. Again, thank you to LeMays for stepping up and saying they actually designed the voucher for us, and they've been a really great partner again with the city. The Mill Creek RCO grant, we're almost finished. I'm gonna be doing some final billing here in the next 2 weeks. We have to have it totally completed by the end of June. I mean, if you haven't driven by, look at the tennis courts, we'll be opening those and cutting for those. We're going to have music. I think your husband is providing the music. He has, and some other
Yes, others.
musicians are going to be up there, and a couple of trucks. We're kind of tagging on with Darren Westmoreland, who's doing worldwide music that Saturday in Aberdeen. And so it's a great time. Come out, bring your family, pack a picnic lunch if you don't want to buy anything off the food truck, and just look at the park. There was the tennis court bathroom that has had graffiti on it for probably the last, I don't know, when we moved here 20 years ago, it had graffiti on it. There was no longer graffiti on it. It's a brand new roof. It's been painted. We have graffiti coating on it. That was, again, just great to do that, because if it happens again, it can be hosed off without having to completely, paint it again. When we did this grant, it was really looking at how do we reduce maintenance things that will last. The gazebo area has a metal roof, as did the upper bathroom, so low maintenance. The tennis courts, as I said, brand new steps, nice railings, Caskies came in and did, all the railings for the steps. Denny donated his time from Caskies to do the work. He made many trips up there, welding and working on that. So if you're up in the park, walk up those steps, look at those railing, thank park. So a lot,
Sherwin Williams.
oh, and Sherman Williams has made big donations, reducing the paint costs. And also in our old city hall, they donated all the paint for that room. Mike Hatley, he's been in Grays Harbor for years. He's a harborite. He has been painting for a week in that building. He painted the ceilings, painting all the walls. So the old city hall is going to be a community service room that our citizens can use. It also will be where we will be holding our council meetings in July. And so, as I said, it just amazes me about people stepping forward and giving, and a number of volunteers making a difference. We have had every one of our parks adopted by citizens in the community. They've all filled out the necessary paperwork. So I just want to reassure you, and they've all come in and had their checks and everything. But at this point in time, our city crew, while it's very limited, having the parks taken care of, no money will be coming out of the general fund for parks starting in July, which is really important because budget is going to be an issue. We will be talking about that next month. So that means public work will be working on our streets, doing the mowing on our streets. That type of thing. But again, and it's people stepping in unity, and I'm grateful to that. Memorial Day is next Monday. The office is going to be closed, and I know citizens are going to be really happy to hear we're going to have a new drop box. behind City Hall where they can drive up and actually just drop their payment in there. That will be checked throughout the day. So really, actually, a lot is happening, a lot of positive things through all the interesting things that are happening. Thank you. So moving on, new business. Item number 1 will be the fire department surplus vehicles, and Councilmember Skinner will be presenting on that.
Do we want to go back?
Or, oh,
Chris,
yeah,
let him make a report.
thank you.
Jacob.
Mr. Kokel, would you please present?
Yes, thank you for having me tonight. We had 3 EMTs, complete the Grace Harbor, EMT course and the NR EMT testing. We've had 2 members pass and 1 is scheduled for next week, so we're wishing them luck. And then we'll have 3 new EMTs. All 3 firefighters have graduated the Grace Harbor Regional Direct Fire Academy. So that was completed on last Saturday. And 821, the new ambulance was put in service last week. We just want to thank the citizens for approving and council members for approving that. And we have had 129 calls for the year.
Thank you.
Yep. 130 now.
Yes, yeah, okay, thank you.
amended.
Okay.
Chris, I imagine between the both of us, we can get this figured out on the surplus vehicles. There's so many of them. I guess we've got the 97 Ford Super Duty ambulance now up and ready to be put on the surplus for sale. We went back and forth for quite some time on figuring just where were all these vehicles and whose responsibility and where we were gonna get this done. And I think this was our final action tonight is to, once we get done having these discussions, we will then vote on moving forward with getting them on the site. I guess the approximate value has been looked at, as a out there, what they go for, what we've seen other ones sell, come and go for. So they're talking about $4,000. And I'm not sure, is this going to be people put in bid system? They get so many times to put in bids, or we have entities out there that we contact first, or they get first opportunity at it till the public gets to it. I guess we'll get all that once we approve the move forward of surplusing these vehicles, then they'll come up with just how we're going to do it.
I mean, our response and some of the vehicles are us, have been through this before. I
Yes,
think tonight we're just hoping that it'll be approved.
yes,
And then the rest falls on the shoulders of City Hall, pretty much Carrie and I, and he will get the process, the brunt of it on us to get the photos and all those things to it, and it gets listed. Some of them are transferable, others have to be sealed bids. So if an entity purchases or wants the ambulance, they can get it. Otherwise, we take emergency equipment off and whatnot, and it gets done by a bid process, the choosing of pretty much Carrie chooses how to go about that process, following the rules that are in place for that over us.
cool, thank you. So we have the ambulance and this wonderful 2005 Chevrolet Tahoe. That I just think is gonna go really quick, so. And it's approximate, it has a mere 326,000 miles on it. And its approximate value they've set at $2,000. So those are the 2 fire department vehicles. We can move right on into the police vehicles. We've got 2 of the Tauruses. One at $118,000, valued at $6,000. The other one is got 126,000 miles on it, and it's valued again at about $6,000. And then the best of the bunch, the Crown Vic. And it's only got 79,000 miles on it. I mean, that's a mint one owner. And its value is right at about $5,000, I guess, so. There'll be some lucky people out there driving some fancy rigs, so hopefully. So what we want to do is move forward with when it gets, our next segment here is voting on moving these on to be sold as surplus.
Thank you. Moving on to item 3, Councilmember Darcy.
Yeah, So there, I was looking at our conditional use, ordinances around our conditional uses, since we have, properties and stuff that are on the waterfront, and most of those, plus other things, involve all conditional use permits, and what I found was that, back in 2021, there were 3 ordinances that, well, 2 that got voted on and one somehow mysteriously passed, even though it never really got voted on, but it became law, or in our law. So, one of the ordinance 1360, what that one did was it created an entire new chapter, which was discussing the land use hearing examiner. And what that is, or goes back to ordinance 1361, which, what that does is it replaces the, conditional use hearings, that the planning commission would normally, be dealing with. So basically what it did is it eliminated the planning committee around conditional uses and implemented this, land use hearing examiner, situation. And then ordinance 1362, which is the anomaly, it didn't actually get voted on, it was tabled, and then somehow Mr. Carl here, Sperry, mentioned it, and I found it in the minutes, he mentioned wondering about that particular ordinance, and then it just miraculously got approved and became law. So what I'm looking to do, and that one eliminated, well, it completely abolished the Board of Adjustments, is what that one did. So technically, since 2021, we have not had a Board of Adjustments, and we have not had a planning commission involved in conditional use permits. So what I'm looking to do is, repeal those 3 ordinances and go back to where, or chapter 8, well, first, the one would be 1360, would eliminate the land use hearing examiner chapter, which that's all it talks about. It was created specifically for that. And then the 1361 is, chapter 1877, which is conditional use permits, which would put back the planning, it states the planning commission shall receive and hear applications for conditional use permits. And that is as it read, as it was supposed to be, and that changed. And then ordinance 1362, which is the Board of Adjustments, that would be repealed, and then we put back our Board of Adjustments as an active entity, as it has. How this happened, I don't know, but we have been, even, it happened in 2021, and the city has still been using planning commission, and everybody's been appointed. Past Mayor Polly, in fact, according to the minutes, as soon as all this happened, he appointed Board of Adjustments people, planning commission, and civil service people. So it seems weird that it would be voted on, and then he appoints everybody, and then it was abolished. So I'm not sure. The whole thing is a very odd situation, how it happened, and I feel, and I think the mayor also feels, that it's important that we keep the planning commission involved in these conditional use permits, and also the Board of Adjustments, needs to be revitalized, and is important commission too to have, yes. And the fact that it got abolished, and, I'm not sure why they would want to do that in the first place, but yeah, so I'm looking to have all 3 of those ordinances repealed and to go back to as they were, in our, law. So it's kind of what I'm looking for. So if there's any questions, let me know, because I've been dug in this for like the last 2 weeks, so I'm fairly
Yeah. This
up on it.
definitely raises the question for me, when we do vote to, alter one of our ordinances, what is the process in City Hall for getting that updated in our published municipal codes?
Right,
So,
that then goes to.
Should
city,
Chris
yeah.
speak to this? Chris, are you available to speak to this?
Yes, so I mean, it's published. I mean, if we do an ordinance, whether it's in a budget amendment or whatever, it's published. And we send it off to the code revisor, they'll update it and make any Scrivener's errors and fix any Scrivener's errors, things like that. So is that the question?
Yeah, I think so. I was just
Very good.
between us voting on a change to ordinance and
Well,
actually getting that.
yeah, I'm assuming we're not doing it today. Because I think there's probably, I would certainly recommend input and, but I mean, we haven't drafted the ordinance. There's just a discussion to sort of change the existing, or I guess, and Commission or Councilperson Darcy and I did discuss this. And my understanding is things were changed, and now the idea is we want to change them. Well, whether or not they were changed, sufficiently or not, I think that the fact is they were changed, and then the discussion now is, are we going to change them back to some other form?
Yeah, so my question would be that, can you not just vote to repeal what happened? And because we can't even find the signed, we looked everywhere multiple times, and we can't even find signed by the mayor, because every ordinance by state law has to be signed by the mayor, whether he sends it back to the council and agrees or not agrees, but in the end, he still has to sign. We can't even find the ordinances to begin with, so there's that too.
It's not that, and it's not in the minutes. I guess what would be it sounds like it might have been published improperly. And I don't know
Well, it appears that, yeah.
So I guess what I'm a little bit worried, obviously none of us, I don't know if I don't think any of us were around back when this went down. So I cannot speak to what did or didn't happen. I did talk to Councilperson Darcy, and she's done some deep dives into this. What I'm a little worried about is we've had, at least for 2 years, if not 3 years, we've had a system in place. I think if this council wants to change the way we do business as it relates to a conditional use permit or a variance or what have you, our the people at the city are the experts on that, and I think those are the people that need to be, need to be consulted on this. I would not recommend in any way, shape, or form that we show up on Wednesday in mid-May of 2025 and say, well, hey, there was a mistake, and change it, when I'm assuming there's a certain number of people that have been relying on things for a certain period of time. So I think Mr. Seidel or whomever, it needs to be brought into the loop on this, and probably put into a committee and figure out what's the best way to, what should we do here. And I would recommend this get put into a committee and discussed in more detail.
Yeah, now my question to
Can I-
Bill, go ahead.
No, excuse me, who is Mr. Seidel?
So I think. It's
Mr. Speaker,
I believe is who he's referring to.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's okay. Bill.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm making up names as I go. The other Mr. Coker in the room is throwing me off.
Chris, I have another question, hopefully an easy one. Is there a sort of a version control in our Municode? So because somebody pull up what the previous ordinance were?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
have.
they can. I believe I believe that's the case. You can go back to the code revisor, and I think they can get historical codes. I don't know how far they go back.
We actually have the original ordinances that
Yeah.
put the Board of Adjustments and the Planning Commission in, which is what these 3 ordinances basically overrode. So we do have the originals.
I just, I appreciate your cautions about acting on this, too quickly. It seems like a little bit of a no-brainer to me personally. I'd like to ask Mr. Seeger if he has any thoughts or insights.
Yes, and my next question.
I have been waiting.
I was waiting to hear from you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that begs the question. What has happened to all the variance hearings that we have had? I think there's been 3 of them here in the last, I don't know, 6 months
Yeah.
that have been passed. by the Board of Adjustment? And if they no longer existed, what happens to those variances? Do we have to rehear them?
If that question is for me, I think the answer is no, because I think that under the process that was in place, people relied on it, and I would be inclined to say we do not need to go back on that, because we can't really. I mean, obviously there was a system in place that the folks seeking the variance relied upon, and that was the process that was utilized. So I think it's a moving forward change.
And Chris, coming into office, my understanding, I was told that I needed to appoint people to the planning commission and to the auditing commission. We
Yep.
did that. We have been following all the guidelines. No one was aware of this till Sue went back and researched it, and it was just something that happened during that time zone. She did do a deep dive into this. Thank you, Sue. And so I really don't feel there is a question here that we need to have our planning commission and make sure that we're going forward. And that the other board also, I think this is what the citizens believe is happening, and that is their expectations, as it is the council and myself.
And I would chime in on that. Just, I think this is really I mean, it's Bill's the expert in this, folks. And I think this is you know, I think this would require, this is a pretty big change if this is something this council wants to go down the road to, because it would change for better, for worse, what we've been doing the last few years, at least.
No, it's not, no, it's going back to the, okay, so I think you might be confused, because this is basically on paper. The city has continued to be running the way it's always ran, with a planning commission and a board of adjustment and everything. But if someone was to actually go in and read our ordinance around a conditional use permit, they would come into the office and go like, I want to get a land hearing use examiner, and everyone's gonna go, well, what's that? You know, because we have not been even using a land. Bill, has there ever been anybody who's requested a land use hearing examiner? Right, so
Not that I'm aware of.
in the last 4 years.
I don't know how these changes came about, because I was never informed of anything like that.
Yes. I
Yeah.
believe we discussed this a couple months ago
We-
about switching to this.
Yeah. So,
We did.
Well, that's what I mean, when you read the minutes, because that's all we really have, you know, are our minutes from when this happened, and it basically just. I mean, even the one that abolished the Board of Adjustments, that one never even got discussed. I mean,
It was never on an agenda.
it was on there, it was,
I,
and it just, what it says is that Mayor Polly tabled the ordinance and may bring it up next month. And then the next step was he made appointments for the Board of Adjustments, the Planning Commission, the Civil Service. And then the next month, a public comment was made inquiring about that particular ordinance. And then that's when finance director stated that it was passed in the last meeting and she will correct the draft minutes, and then that's how it happened, when really it never did even get discussed or voted on, but then it happened. So it was very, like, just big, giant technical, and then somebody went back to the office and called whoever they called it, implemented as law, and that's how it all happened, really.
So I think what I'm hearing is, what we're all saying is, we want to continue with our planning commission, with the board of adjustment, our civil board, as we have for years. And continue moving forward. We don't want to change anything. These changes were made, and it's apparent, unbeknownst to Mr. Sedor, or even us, even the new council, and apparently the last mayor.
the only thing that I understand is because we were having problems finding or getting a quorum for the Board of Adjustment. There was talk of the possibility of going to a hearings examiner.
Mm.
And that's all the knowledge that I have on that. As far as I know, it never went any further, but now we're finding out there was a possibility that they were moving forward on it.
Apparently it did.
Yeah, I mean, I would
Well,
say that if we want to look at the two chapters that were affected, which is chapter 1876 and 77, we can, if we want to look over them to see if there is anything that needs to be updated within those two chapters, then we could we could do that. We could sit down with the two chapters, look at them and see if there's anything that needs to be, updated with the time, because I believe it was 1976 or something like that, that these were actually created, these two ordinances or chapters. So there could be a possibility that they need to be updated, verbal with certain verbiage or something like that, but do we want to get that deep diving into them? Where it may be just a sentence here or there kind of thing, that's probably not really, gonna cause any problems more than what this is already. So. But that's, like I said, we can, if Bill is okay with the way everything's been going, if this would be the time that if there's any changes within these two, chapters, that would be the time to do it. But if I think in my mind that if everybody's been okay with the way these two chapters are, it would be just going back to those two and then getting rid of the chapter 2.30, which is the one that just explains the land use examiner. Which it was never there to begin with, it just got created by this other ordinance.
And Sue, Bill, Bill, remind me, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Bill, but I remember this kind of came up early on in my tenure when I came on to the city, and there was some discussions about making a change, but it was because we couldn't get people on either the Board of Adjustment or the hearing or the the committee or whatever. And then that got fixed, Bill. We got people, and we that process was straightened out. Wasn't that kind of how that went down?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And we have a full Board of Adjustments,
Yeah.
full plan commission too, and everybody is having meetings, they're starting forward with meetings and proceeding as the city has always proceeded the last 50 years.
Is, the question I have, is the examiner a last resort? If I want.
Oh, she said, but
I come and I wanna have something done, I wanna build something, I wanna make something, and I'm not satisfied with the planning commission or the Board of Adjustments answers to it, and I want to go farther, that's when it's up to the citizen then to get a hearing examiner? No,
No.
not, he's not an arbitrator.
The hearings examiner would not even come into play because we don't have a hearings examiner. The option that if they don't like it, I think comes to the city council.
Yeah.
And if they don't like the city council's vote, then they can go to Superior Court.
Yeah, that's how that's written in our ordinance, it is written that way, yeah.
And this examiner costs money.
Yeah, the
And it
examiner.
costs money for the city.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, the way the chapter is written for the examiner is that, yes, and we have to hire one and it's paid, but it says it's paid through the applications. But then the mayor hires the person and then it has to come and be approved by the council. So that is how that process happens, yeah.
And
It does involve money and more work for the city and then the people who want to use it, so.
And I think it's really a moot point, to be quite honest. I think you're right. You were here during the time, we were having a difficult time getting individuals on the Board Adjustment. We worked hard, we had that taken care of. The Planning Commission, we have been working as if nothing has changed until this information. I am not sure. I would like to see us be able to continue to move forward, repeal whatever took place at that time, because it was apparent, the former mayor didn't know anything, and when I came in as a new mayor, my duties were to appoint a planning commission and board adjustment, and we have been doing so, and they are actively working.
Yeah, and I think it keeps it within the city so that, you know, we are, you know, between the planning commission, they're, you know, the first seers of, you know, what people wanna come in and do with the city, and they're the ones who are reading the shoreline act that we have and the, you know, the revitalization plan and the parks plan and all that, and so they have to read all of that and then have the knowledge when someone comes in to may have that discussion around, you know, what is the best use for what land we do have left as far as being developed, and I think it keeps it within the city, because then you get a land use hearing examiner, that basically probably don't know anything about what's going on in the city, you know, what our vision is or any of that kind of thing, and so you kind of lose, that personal thing that we have going with, you know, small, I can see it probably working in a bigger city where they have a lot of things going on, but I think for as small as we are, I think kind of keep it simple, you know, is probably the best, you know, way of doing it, and what's familiar with the way it's been running, you know, too, on top of it, because then it's like, you gotta learn all something new again.
And it's not one person, it's a board of citizens from this community. So it's not one person, one mind, it's
Right.
a group of people that have to work together and make a decision that is best for that citizen and the community.
Mayor, can I, one other deal here, on the new business and the council action, I see it says a vote to move forward on repealing those ordinances. If we just do that, then we still have to cover the process that our attorney's talking about, Chris, as far as notifying the public that we're going to be voting on ordinance changes, whether it's a repeal or a new ordinance or whatever. So it would still be a month out before we would actually take a vote to make this happen.
I agree, yes. I mean, that was what I would recommend. And I would think Bill would want for consistency purposes, I mean, I'm not gonna speak for Bill, but I think Bill would. Bill, do you agree with that?
If I follow right, yeah, we need.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
have to
what
let
we're-
the people know.
You're amending the ordinance back to what it was, repealing what was passed. So we need to look at that
Yeah.
and make sure that we've got the wording right.
Yeah,
So, yeah, we're just gonna vote to move it forward to start.
Yeah,
the
vote
process.
move forward.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, up for item 4. Mr. Cedar.
So. I don't know who found this or why, I think Terry did, but. Ordinance number 1332-050 on service pipes. In the ordinance, it shows that all pipes shall be of galvanized iron, copper, brass, lead, or plastic. Lead has not been allowed to be used for water piping for, I don't know how long, since the nineties.
1986.
Yeah, 1986. So basically what we need to do is we need to amend the ordinance, striking lead from that. Basically, everybody uses plastic now, uses PVC or, you know, other types of polyethylene. Water piping, it's better and cheaper than copper. And, I don't know anybody that uses brass anymore. Or galvanized iron. Galvanized iron just. Your pipe goes from 1.5 inches to 1/4 of an inch through the years.
Better pressure.
Yeah. So better pressure, lack of pressure. So, yeah, so basically we just need to amend the ordinance and strike lead piping is used for water.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on, public comments at this time. The floor is open, public comments, please, as a whole, not one individual council person. We ask that you take 3 minutes.
I'm Carl, y'all know me, 1006 Bell Drive, on repealing the ordinances. A couple of questions here, and Councilmember Darcy and I have chatted on ordinance 60, 61, and 62. it's my understanding that some might have got passed and some didn't get passed. Is that kind of, if that is correct, because I can't ask questions,
Right?
if that is correct, then the ones that didn't get passed can probably just be dismissed and taken out without a whole bunch of action. I don't know that for a fact. That's why we have an attorney. The ones that were passed and you have evidence that they were passed, well, yeah, then you have to go through the repeal process, I think. But that's why we have an attorney. He can guide you through, and it sounds like you guys are just cleaning up somebody else's mess, and God bless you for doing it.
And thank you for your comment, Mr. Sterling. Okay, any other comments in the audience? Okay, new business. This is, action at this time, and we're going to move on. Is there a motion to approve the fire department surplus vehicle? Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the fire department surplus vehicles.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion at this time?
Yeah, I have one question. Are we like clearing out anything that may be usable in these vehicles? You know? This is the fire, yeah, and the ambulance?
Yes, so all the equipment that we were able to use.
Okay, good, okay. That was my question, make sure that we're keeping what we can, yeah. Okay.
Tired.
Thank you.
Don't wanna give away anything.
All those in favor of approving, say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next motion, is there a motion to approve the police department surplus vehicles? There a motion?
Council Darcy, makes a motion to approve the police department surplus vehicles.
Councilmember Colette seconds that.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? The motion passes. Moving on, is there a motion to work on repealing ordinances 1360, 1361, 1362? Do I hear a motion?
Yeah, Council Darcy creates a motion to move forward with, looking at ordinances 1360, 61, and 62 to be repealed.
Okay, is there a second?
I second. Councilman Skinner.
Is there discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Is there a motion to approve the request to update CMC 13-32-050 to remove the use of lead pipe? Is there a motion?
Councilmember Colette moves that we update that ordinance to remove the use of lead pipe.
Is there a second?
Council Darcy seconds that.
Is there any discussion?
Just one thing, clarification. Is this also going to need to actually go up for official vote next month?
Chris? Could you answer that, please?
Chris left.
Yes, no, I'm here. Yes, I just couldn't think. Yes, we would need to do an amended ordinance and then you guys would have to approve it. So basically, the motion is to direct the staff to move forward with that action.
Thank you. Mr. Crowe. Okay. Any other discussion? Let's see, what's your motion discussion?
Favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Or opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Okay, at this time, we have public comments. Again, please just state your first name. You do not have to state your address. Please address the council as a whole. You have 3 minutes, and this is just for comment time. Hearing none, we're moving on. Council comments. At this time, I will open the floor to the council members' comments.
I have one just personal comment to make. A year ago today, my wife passed away at my home, and I just wanna give a very deep, thank you to Chief Lehman, who was there with me the entire time, and he has checked in on me throughout the year. So I just want him to know that, really appreciate that.
Thank you, and you have our condolences and you're in our thoughts. Any other comments this evening? All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I second it.
There'll be no other business for this meeting. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Meeting adjourns at 8 p.m. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Thank you.